everyone, thank you for joining me for this very breaking news video, which will be short and sweet and straight to the point. Yeah, you've been wondering where I've been since the beginning of this year. I've actually made some big life changes. I've moved down to Middle England, new job. I'm currently living in a lay community, getting very much back to basics with the fact we have the chapel, the Blessed Sacrament here. So in a way I've been hidden from the world, getting back to those spiritual basics. All along, however, as well as I'm spending more time with the Lord and prayer and everything else, which has been an absolute blessing, and for other reasons why this is happening, all good, I have been keeping a very much a silent observation as things still unfold in the world, especially with Russia and Ukraine. As you all know, with Prophecy Prepper, anything that's the Church or Russia related is always going to go back to the Marian apparitions of Fatima, right through up until present day Medjugorje. So the breaking news is coming, so hit the subscribe button, give me a like and a thumbs up, and let's get to it. Okay, like everyone else, we know what's happening in the world. Of course, the Western media make everything out, Russia, the dark nation, coming back with communism and World War III looming and all the rest of it. But I've actually been keeping away from the news the past week or two. I had enough time creeping back up, watching. And the more you watch the news, the more it kind of makes you think of, well, I was thinking differently all along. You know, they're poking the bear, Russia to react with expansion of NATO, and let's not forget Hunter Biden, the president's son, and Nancy Pelosi's offspring, and all the rest of it involved with Ukraine gas and all this over the years that Trump was very much debating them about on the presidential debates. But take all that aside, take everything else aside, finally, for the first time since the crumbling of the Soviet Empire, Russia is back and bringing war to Europe. Why is this important? Because Our Lady has been asking us, ever since Fatima, she warned us about worse wars to come, and the threat of the errors of Russia with communism all happened. And then, of course, after several attempts with different popes, John Paul II, who was shot on the Fatima anniversary in 1981, May 13th, then did March 25th, 1984, the consecration or entrustment of the world to Our Lady's Immaculate Heart. But as everyone always kept reminding and saying, they never expressively said Russia. Plus, one of the main themes that still had to be done was also in union with all the bishops of the world. This was never done in any of the several attempts beforehand, nor on this one. But many, including the Vatican, the official stance says, well, it was accepted. Lucia says it was accepted. And look to the east, she says, and yes, the Soviet Empire and communism started dwindling away and all the rest of it. And the fact that he himself was the Pope who was shot on May 13th, 1981, the apparition of Fatima, which we know began on May 13th, 1917. So that anniversary was significant, especially when they revealed in the year 2000 at the Fatima Shrine, John Paul revealed the third secret where it was the Pope was shot. But you've seen my Fatima videos, you've seen the connection of the big presentation of Fatima and Garabandal. I advise you to watch them on this playlist and go through them all individually and then see how they come together. I'll repeat it and I'm going to keep repeating it. That's what you need to do in order to get thinking the way I'm thinking, or to see things as way I see it, as well as many millions of people all over the world thinking the same. Also join the Facebook group Marian Apparitions, nearly 16,000 people, and as you can imagine, this is all breaking news. But what we're talking about with the breaking news today, I have been dancing on the ceiling, because for the last few days, which I thought was great, all these several attempts with different pontiffs, never fully seen it done. There's been controversy with the one in 1984 with John Paul. Are they still hiding parts of the third secret of Fatima that still wasn't revealed? And they haven't saved Russia. It wasn't all the bishops of the world doing it, therefore it's not valid. Pope Francis goes like Donald Trump and he just tweets it on Twitter, I am going to consecrate Ukraine and Russia on March 25th. All these things over the years, they had to be careful with diplomatic affairs and all the rest of it. The Pope just went Donald Trump on the world and says, I am consecrating Russia. Yes, he's doing it with Ukraine. But I've also emailed personally to one of the bishops in Scotland who previously was my spiritual director, and we have a close bond still. And even just yesterday, on March 17th, I was begging him, the bishops are going to be doing this rosary rally in Glasgow city centre, and this is amazing, the news feed and Facebook and all the groups showing this. So you have to be in union with the Pope to do the consecration mass, as Our Lady instructed. This is the opportunity. So many people, including myself around the world, have been praying for that. And thanks be to God, today, March 18th, the union of the bishops have now been announced. There's a lot of news feed going about, like the nuncios of America have put it out to the bishops. I did have a response quickly from my own bishop yesterday, and here in Scotland, well, up in Scotland, I have to remember I'm in England, and he was waiting for the nunciatari, as they're called in Italian still, or Latin, basically waiting for the nuncio to get through to see. But it looks as if the Pope is inviting all bishops of the world to do the consecration on March 25th. And if that happens, we are hearing Russia specifically named in the consecration. Yes, it's along with Ukraine, and some people think, oh, she only said Russia, that won't count. He's explicitly saying Russia and Ukraine. You could add in Scotland, Italy, America, specific countries. He is saying Russia, and for the first time in nearly a century of all these other attempts, he's inviting all the bishops of the world to do it with him in union. That was the expressed desire of Our Lady when she appeared in 1929 to Lucia of Fatima, who was now at that time a nun in a convent. And I'm sure it was June 13th, 1929. She says, now's the time God wishes for the consecration to be done with the Pope and all the bishops in union with him to consecrate Russia. This is explosive. And you know what else have just come to mind while speaking? It's March 18th. What was the last video I shared with you, and I've said beforehand? What did Mariana always say about March 18th in Medjugorje? She now gets her annual apparition on March 18th. The visionary of Medjugorje who's to reveal the 10 secrets as events of the world and time. Our Lady told her, and it's written in her book also, that March 18th has nothing to do with her birthday. It's to do with the mission and the secrets. And by March 18th, on the 25th of the month, the second of the month apparitions, why she's asking us to fast on Wednesdays and Fridays, in time events will show the significance of these dates. And here we are, March 18th in 2014, Putin was re-elected to the Russian presidency. March 18th today, the Pope is saying he's inviting all bishops to unite with him and consecrate Russia on March 25th, which is the Feast of the Annunciation, which was also March 25th, 1984, when John Paul II did the entrustment and consecration of the world to the Immaculate Heart. Some people might have the OCD and expect Our Lady or God to have the same OCD because it's not just Russia, it's Ukraine and Russia. Whether it's linked to do with the Fatima message or continuance, which many are saying it's not, it's just because the Ukrainian bishops have begged Pope Francis to do this. You ask yourself, why have they begged him to do this? Because they know the signs of the times. They know. And I've gotten good authority for those who I still keep in touch with in Rome, as I was a former seminarian in Rome, that Putin himself previously did ask Pope Francis to consecrate Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Mary as she asked in Fatima. Putin's aware of these times as well, if that's to be true. When I was a seminarian in 2013 in Rome, I was there for Francis walking out on the balcony. Habemus Papam, Francesco it is. The place erupted. And within the first day of his pontificate, he goes to Mary Majors, consecrates his papacy to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Within a few months of his pontificate, he brings the Fatima statue to Rome and consecrates the world in his own way. These were signs that I knew that this man was aware, although it was still not done specifically as instructed by Our Lady, which now is going to be done. Is it done in time? I'm sure it was 1936. I'll do a separate video where Lucia says that Jesus talked to her about it and how it would not be done in time. However, Russia would still convert as it had been entrusted to the Blessed Mother. Now, I wonder if that entrustment is to do with John Paul's in 1984, but if the deadline was 1960, we're way beyond it. But no doubt whatsoever, on a good note and a hopeful note, to have the union of the bishops around the world with the Pope doing it on March 18th, the significant day always instructed by Our Lady in Medjugorje. This is going to be significant spiritually. This is like a nuclear war spiritually going off against the powers of hell. And that's what makes me concerned about the Holy Father, about the Church. Because if this is going to get done in the coming week, then more than ever this past century, the devil, hell, the evil you see manifesting more and more on earth, in the Church and around the world, is going to be in full guard and in full explosion back, because this is going to be a nuclear blast against that, spiritually speaking. This will be huge. This will bring great grace. And we have to keep praying for the protection of the Pope, because many other prophecies speak of the martyrdom of the Pope. Remember, it's not just conveniently falling on March 18th is already highlighted as a significant date. Russia's back in the warpath, because clearly, where is the era of peace? Why do we need to do another consecration this time, only done more explicitly correctly? Why are all these other things happening if it was meant to have been done? Where's the triumph of the Immaculate Heart? These things are coming, and I'm not surprised that the way this decade began, we're going to see more and more happening as we approach 2029 perhaps. Because if this is the right consecration done, many things can be averted. We're talking about annihilation of nations. We're talking about world communism coming back. And it's not coming through Russia. The West is more communistic than anything now. But things can change, and we have to wait and see what happens after the consecration. But if this is the biggest blast against the powers of hell, then the Pope is going to have a lot to battle. The Church has a lot to battle with the anger of hell for this. So we have to keep praying for the Pope, his safety, his protection, the same of the Church. Because between now and that date, anything can happen. I'm already thinking of the other various prophecies. You know, we're at the end of St. Malachi's list of popes before Petrus Romanus comes. We're looking at the fact that at the time of the prophecy of the two popes which we have, we've already seen the global shutdown of the churches during the pandemic as given by Anne Catherine Emmerich, who herself speaks of the two popes. We're in the 40th year of Medjugorje, which is biblical in significance. 40 was about trial, tribulation, purification, numbers. It's throughout the Bible. So this day, today, March 18th, in this recording, is so significant yet again in this day. At this moment of recording, we're still waiting for Mariana's annual apparition. I don't expect much to come from it, because if you look back in the other messages, Our Lady seems to focus away what's going on in the world to keep focused on the mission. That may change today, who knows? But the video coming that soon, as well as other things I'm highlighting. I'm just excited, I'm putting this together quickly, and I want to get it up there to let you all know I'm very much observing and taking in everything that is occurring. But without getting too manifested in the world, I'm taking this opportunity, living in this lay community, being back under the same roof as the Blessed Sacrament, focusing on the spiritual reading and prayer and living the messages which are absolutely fundamental, and the most important of all is to live the messages. I never stop saying it, but at the same time, Jesus admonished them in the Bible when they were not aware of the signs of the times. This is significant. And I even had a reporter from one of the newspapers try and get in touch last week. I told him all about it, never heard back. Probably hasn't published, not his thing he's after, but now these things are starting to play out. And my videos will stand as testimony to the fact that for years I paid attention, like many millions of people around the world, and we're seeing it more obviously unfolding every single day. Between now and 2029, that is the 100th anniversary where Our Lady first requested it. Anything can happen between now and then. Will it trigger the Medjugorje secrets and the events inside them? What else can happen? There's so much more to be done and said, but for this video, let's focus on the great news that Russia is going to be consecrated along with Ukraine, with the Pope, in union with the bishops of the world, which is the explicit instruction that Our Lady wanted, and it was never done for the previous attempts, and it falls on the significant date of March 18th that she always says would be. And there's more events to come that will also be on this day in the coming years, but right now, let's be happy, let's be hopeful, let's keep praying for the protection of the Pope and this intention that will go ahead next week. God bless you all. Hit the subscribe button, join the Marian Apparitions Facebook group, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Leave your comments below. I love the interactions as a growing community where we're at, and I cannot wait to get the next video up and running for you. Take care.